What you focus on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Lady K Chat podcast. You are here with your favorite host, Lady K, and I just want to welcome you. If you're the first time visiting here, just know that I do not hold my tongue. I speak it with love, but I also have to tell the truth, the whole truth, my truth, and nothing but truth. So that my truth and the truth. But welcome, everyone, and I thank you for tuning in today's show. Today's show, we are speaking about generational wealth. Now, I know a lot of the times when we think about generational wealth, of course, the first thing that comes to mind is monetary. And of course, monetary is important. That is at the top of the A list, just like oxygen. However, today I want to talk about the other 5 components of generational wealth because monetary is just not everything. But let's get started. And before we do, I want you to like. If you have not subscribed already, definitely subscribe to this channel so you can get the pop-up. We air every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't want you to miss a beat. So I want to make sure that you are tuned in and that you are getting up to date on what Lady K is talking about. So I'm going to finish talking about the generational wealth. We acknowledge monetary. So I got my notes here, some other things that I wrote down as well too. You know what? People don't think about this, right? But I consider this as a factor for generational wealth. If you want, to be successful, if you want things to work in order for you, everything that you put out, you want to come back. You also got to have timing. Timing is a part of that component of generational wealth. Why? Because let me tell you something, parents, this is actually for you to instill into your children, okay? And as we know, our time is precious. As we know, we be working the days and the days go by so fast. It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or you're actually working a 9 to 5. Your time is everything. When your time goes into your business, after your business is up, what are you doing in those other times? Are you giving yourself the adequate time that you need by yourself? Are you also gracing yourself time with managing with and I'm going to say time managing the things that you want to do in your daily life, like after made your commitment to your business and to your 9 to 5, are you spending time by yourself? Are you spending time to get your me time? Are you spending time with your family? Are you spending time on making sure that you continue to grow in the spaces that you are? Timing is everything. I know some people, for myself, for many years, I used to struggle waking up early in the morning, and now it comes natural to me because I kept doing it. I kept testing myself because I no longer wanted to do things in evening time. I wanted to make sure that I got my sleep. And also, too, by me getting up early in the morning, it allows me to set my time structure to do certain things. So by the time late in the evening come, that's my time. And I understand, in business, it's crazy. But let me tell you something. You do not create a business so you can work on the business time. You create the business around your lifestyle. You understand what I'm saying? Now, of course, when we're first starting out, we might be the one-man show. We know how that goes, right? But as you grow and you gravitate and you have a team, then those people that work on your team, they can fill it and work those later hours or whatever hours you no longer want to work, because that's how it goes. The more you expand, the more time you're supposed to have to yourself. Not the more you expand, the more harder you work yourself in the chair. No, this is why you hire the right people that's perfect for your organization. And I spoke about this. I'm going to speak a little bit about this more on another episode. But your company culture is important for business owners, right? Your company culture is important. And for you that's working the 9 to 5, and if you are examining some of the things that you do not like that your employer does, listen, nothing's going to change. You can probably advocate. I'm not trying to tell you nothing will, let me rephrase that. Let me take that back. I don't want to say nothing can change because anything is possible. But we already know sometimes when you're working for corporations, some things are just, it's hard to budge and it's hard to get people to change what they're doing. However, I'm saying this to you. If you are that 9 to 5 that you are inspiring to start your own business one day, then you have to ask yourself the things that you're doing at your organization, the things that you are doing at your 9 to 5, whatever you don't like, would you change that and make sure you incorporate those changes into your own business? Why am I saying that? Because it's also with time. You take that time to figure out to do the things that you desire to do. And like I said, part of generational wealth, if we're talking about building and monetizing, you know, your time should go into things that's precious. If you want to birth a business, you have to put time into it. If you give your 9 to 5, those 8 hours, why can't you give your business a minimum of 30 minutes a day? That's your time. If you gave yourself, and I'm just creating out the scenario. If you gave yourself 30 minutes a day or an hour a day, because that's all you have due to your other responsibilities, and you set that time frame to yourself, hey, if I do this, and I do this for 3 months consistently, then I can move to the next stage and I can have my time back, because you know why? Because time is precious. So as we're developing that for ourselves, we have to teach our kids about time management. What should they be doing in their time? Like, what is the number one thing that has your focus right now? What is the thing that's brewing on your mind? What is something that you have been putting off? Why haven't you put it in front of your face and tackle it? You have to ask yourself these questions. And if you do bring it to the forefront and put it on your table, well, that helps you get more time to yourself, because again, it's all about placing yourself in position, and time does that. So now that I spoke a little bit about time, like I said, I got my notes, guys. I'm gonna look down real quick at my notes and see what's the next one, right? Talent. That is another component of generational wealth. Your personal talent, and if you have a personal talent that you're gifted in, why don't you share that with your children? Like, for example, I'm just throwing out an example. If you are let's say a ballerina dancer. A ballerina dancer. Look, I can't even get my words out, God. Y'all help me out tonight. If you are a ballerina dancer and you love dancer and you're skilled at it, but you feel right now you're not at the age to do that for whatever you want to believe for yourself, listen, that's cool, because sometimes there's a time period for everything, but you're proficient in it, you're great at it, and then you can see that this is something that you can share to your kid. Now, what if you have a daughter and then you want to take the time, get that word time, you want to take the time out to develop your child's talent that you have, because what you're doing, you're passing on the mantle to your children. Okay? So once you pass this mantle on to your children, you're teaching your daughter how to do this ballerina dance, and she gets it. That's a talent that can always stay with her, because now she can decide what she wants to do it, or you can groom your child into how different avenues that they can use. So the talent that they have, this will go into their generational wealth. You understand what I'm saying? You see how this is just flowing? The timing, the talent, you nurture your talent, you develop your talent, you go ahead and exercise it, because now you see that you instilled it into your daughter. Your daughter, she can actually take it down and instill into her children. Or if she wants to kick it up or not, she can open up a school. She can go further into a career, however that looks like for her. But the key thing is, when you do stuff like this is great to document this, right? Document this. You know why this is important to document this? You document your journey, your child will document their journey. You're going to teach your child to document this, because you know why? Because later down the line, when the generations go back into their personal history, there was we came from a line of talented ballerina dancers. You see what I'm saying? So remember, generational wealth is for the generations to come. And this gives them something to look back on to see, okay, where my family come from. And also too, something to be proud of. Anything that you do, anything that you touch, you should be happy that it's manifested and that, your family is understanding their background and where they come from, right? So that's talent, right? We talked about pre-thought money because money is a no-brainer. But you know what? Before I get off this channel, I'm going to talk about some money options because there are some things that we might overlook when it comes to money. So we talked about time, talent, body, and mind. It's kind of go a little bit how I first started the show. Body and mind, how to take care of ourselves. I think I told you guys this a long time ago. Planting the seed, you have no idea. When you plant a seed in your young ones, you never know where it's going to go, because even the Bible says that when you plant the seed, it will grow, and you want the seed to grow on a surface that will nurture and it will grow. And honestly, my mother, over 20 years ago, she introduced the vegan concept to me. And even though I wasn't with it because I was a teenager, I was into my meat. And to be honest, if you would even get technical, what I was eating was poultry and fish, right? Because I didn't eat the other stuff because I gave up a long time ago. However, she nurtured, she showed how to do it. She created some stuff. And I didn't even realize some of the things that we were just eating naturally were vegan. I didn't find it out until later. But when she took the meatless option away, that's what made me say, whoa. But now look at this now, years later. I am now practicing. My mother no longer practiced that. So I practice it full throttle. And then also I incorporated my holistics with it because it makes sense. And now that I'm doing it, the time that I have given myself, and now I have now more time to cook for my family, to give them the nutrients and the proper stuff that they need. And then let me kick it up a notch. Like I teach my sons, how to cook and the ingredients that we use in our food, and how what not to use and what's good for you and what's not good for you. You see how my mom planted that seed and she put it in me, and now I'm in tune with my mind and my body, because it's important for me, whatever I put in my body, that it nurtures my body. And I don't know if I said this before, but I'm at the point where I no longer take my kids to fast food restaurants, because you know why? I'm looking out for their bodies. Now, even though they're not vegan and I am, if they wanted something, nutritionist, like a burger or something, I'm going to go buy that itself and make it for them. I'm not going to go and go get that, because what I learned about that is literally trash. I took the stance and say, no more. So, and you don't want to be lazy. That's the key thing. I understand that, again, going back to timing, we don't have the time, but you also got to ask yourself, if I want this for my future, for my kids, for my grandkids, for my great grandkids, for that's to come, why don't I start at home, and nurture this? Because guess what? Your kid, even though they're going to make their own sound decision on certain things, even if they decide to still eat meat, I'm just being honest because we never know what our kids are going to do, they can still say, hey, your grandmother or your great grandmother was a vegan and she taught me this dish. So guess what? They might be eating quote unquote the meat for dinner, but then maybe that macaroni and cheese is vegan. Maybe that collard greens is vegan, and they're not cooking it to death and taking all the nutritional values out of it. Hello, because guess what? Just because you can cook, that does not mean you can cook. Cooking does not mean cooking to death. And I understand, these are some of the things that got instilled into us because of what our grandparents or great parents may have taught us, because they came from a different age and time. Like you might be out there talking about, oh, my grandmother did this. And the reason why she had to do it is because maybe her pan wasn't big enough, or maybe the stove was small, and she had to do that method. And you don't realize you're taking those methods and you're applying it. That's no longer applicable to you because you're a new day and age. So you got to be understanding where you're getting your information from. And of course, you just want to make sure that, you're doing the best that you can for your family moving forward, and that you're instilling, the techniques and why the techniques work. And again, this goes back to write it down. I'm getting in the habit of writing this down more, and it took me a long time. I remember my mentor told me it takes a short pen is better than a long-term memory because we think we can remember everything. No, but also too, when you have these documents, remember, this is about generational wealth, right? When you have these documents, this is about passing this down. This is about leaving this legacy, and you're having documentation of your legacy. I just want you to think about it. Everything that we touch and that we do, like from other companies, is documented. So why not do the same for yourself, right? So we talked about body and mind, and let me also say this too about body. Of course, working out. Um, there's a lot of us that's overweight. Let me tell you something. I was 80 pounds heavier before I can change my lifestyle to this vegan diet. And I don't want to call it vegan, it's really my lifestyle. I was 80 pounds heavier. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't do a lot of exercising. All I did was change my eating habits, and I just changed my mindset, how I see certain things, because it made sense to me. And as I study more into this journey, now my weight is at a stance where I wanted to be. And I didn't even try. I even lost an extra additional 5 pounds. I went to the doctor recently and they weighed me, and I said, wow, I lost an additional 5 pounds. And I wasn't even trying. So now I'm at a different plateau with my weight and I love it. And I'm going to stay there. I don't really want to go too slim. This is my ideal weight. This is actually my weight that I was in high school. I always loved that. Matter of fact, not high school. It was right after I got out of high school. I think my son was like maybe 2 or 3. I love that size. It was perfect. And that's where I'm at now. Now I just got to do the toning. So that's the next step for me. But the key thing is that I made up in my mind what I wanted to do, right? So the mind is important. It's important where we are extracting our information from. We have to be careful. There's so much stuff on the internet these days. So I say this to you as well, too, because everybody's different. Whatever you want for yourself, however you want to lead your family, I say whatever that thought process is, whatever your beliefs is, just like, for example, I'm going to give my 2 cents. I am a Christian. I believe in Christ. I believe in the Bible. So my thing is anything that I'm doing or that I'm getting advice from, of course you want some advice from some of the same people that's in your same mindset, but also know too who to go to because some people may not be skilled in certain areas. So that's important of knowing who to go to get your information from. I'm pretty sure like we know this, but sometimes when we think about it, you be like, you know what? I did something that was out of my range, and why did I talk to this person? They wasn't helpful. You know what I'm trying to say? So sometimes we do think to ourselves like we know these things, but sometimes we're not practicing it. That's another thing too. Practicing it. I understand it's going to take time, but listen, if you give yourself, let's go back to that time, the 30 minutes, the hour, or whatever you may want, however you may delegate that. Um, you have to put time into whatever you want to cultivate. So just make sure that you are spending time in the areas where you want to be manifested and that you want to thrive on, right? Um, let's see. One more, right? Wisdom. I think wisdom popped into a lot of the stuff that I said. Making sure that the mind, excuse me, making sure that the mindset is right, making great decisions, following people who are credible, following people who have wisdom, and then also too, and within the Holy Spirit will give you wisdom. And if you're saying in the word, if this is your route that you choose to, I talk about this because I go by my biblical principles. If I say that, hey, I want to be have more wisdom in this area, I'm going to spend time in the word. I'm going to spend time with God. He is going to bring a lot of things to my attention that maybe I may not have been aware of. And then also too, not only just seeking from the Holy Spirit, it's your experience. When you learn from them, you're like, I ain't doing that no more. It burned me. Let me tell you something about me, honey. All I need to be burnt once, and I learned my lesson. I ain't gonna keep going back. That's that is not my stilo. I want to learn it, and I want to make sure that I don't go back to repeated habits and mistakes. And even though sometimes it can take time to get yourself out of habits, I say again, take that 30 minutes, an hour, 15 minutes, whatever it is to help you develop that skill to get better in your wisdom. Now, the last part, and this is this is important. I mean, all of them are, but this is important. Generational wealth, right? This is the last component I'm speaking about. Network and community. Yes, because we know we cannot do anything by ourselves. Let me say something so profound that I was listening to the other day that is stuck with me, and I appreciate this pastor. I cannot remember his name, right? But he said, when we go out there in the world and you're listening to, little things, right? It can really seep into our mind and change our thought patterns if we're not careful. And he used this example. I'm going to show the example. He uses this example, and he pretty much said, his mindset was, he was a leader of his home. He loved his wife. His job is to protect, right? And then he said he was listening to some other individual. I ain't going to mention their name because I really can't stand them. But he was listening to this individual, and he said he heard maybe 2 episodes of this podcast, not the full information, but he just heard a little bit. And he said, and just in those moments, it switched his mindset, and he started thinking about, yeah, why don't my wife do this? Why don't my wife do that? And it was completely, totally opposite of his original thought process and his belief. So he said, you know what? We think sometimes we can go and think we can do certain things and it's not going to affect us. And yes, it does. So me bringing up community is that you want to be around the same people who are like you, who have similar values and morals, because they will keep you, one, they will keep you grounded, and two, they will hold you accountable. You cannot walk out here in this earth and not be held accountable. Somebody have to hold your hand and say, hey, what you have done, that ain't cool. Because if you don't want to be corrected, then you just want to do what you want to do. I don't know how that's going to work out for you. That doesn't even work in the kingdom. Because God said submit to him. Because God said give yourself to him. And God said, hey, when you say that you allow me in your life, because remember, he's a decision too. When you allow God to come into your life and for him to do the changes and work on you, you're giving him that access. But when he does, he's going to correct you with some things. So what you going to tell God? I won't be corrected. Now, it may hurt. Because when we talk about God, we talk about all the great things, oh, his glory, and look how he got the children out of Egypt because he sent Moses and he sent Joshua. Listen, but the key thing was, in order for that to happen, Joshua and Moses had to accept the assignment, and they did, and it was not easy. So it's the same thing for you when I'm talking to you about community. You have to be open-minded to your community, keeping you accountable and teaching you things that you may not know. And at the same time, too, teaching you things that you may not know. The network part, wherever you may fall short, your community will always give you access to someone who may know more than you, or they may have a specialty. So all of this matters. This is what is needed while we are here on earth, doing our duties, doing our parenting, doing the things that we love. We have to think about all this, and I'm pretty sure we do, but unconsciously. But I just wanted to lay it out. You know what? Besides the monetary, this is what generational wealth is all about. And I think the last point, the last thing I said when I was talking about community, I think that's the biggest, because we have to understand we can't do anything alone. God said in his word, he said, man should not be alone. And God created a helper for Adam. And if we want to be technical, right? Even though God said man should not be in law, I know a lot of times we think about, the man needed a woman. Yes, that's absolutely true. But just in general, us as human beings, we need one another. In some way, shape, or form, we do. You have to manage how you deal with people. If you got some stuff that you have inside of you, you might need therapy. Let me tell you something too. Therapy helps. It comes a long way. And I have to advise this too. If you are a married couple, if you're a husband or a wife listening to this, if you are a married couple, part of that generational wealth is always being in therapy, maintaining couple therapy. Couple therapy does not indicate something is wrong, because guess what? When I say couple therapy, everything that I mentioned, all the components about generational wealth, you can, whatever you are in a disagreement with your spouse about within those 6 components that I listed, you can have those conversations in therapy. And the goal is to come together so you can be on one accordance and then respect each other's decision. I have to say this. I hope the men is listening, maybe some women too, because y'all stubborn. Therapy is not about you going to see somebody who don't know who you are and them telling you what you need to do in your life. No, that's not what therapy is. Therapy is you and getting the ability to come to someone you may not know, which is great, for you to speak to someone who may bring a different perspective to you. They might bring ideas for you to help you wherever you are, you want to manifest in, or you want to change it, or you want to cultivate, or you want to develop. Because that's what life is all about. It's about develop. So you might hear, hey, the therapist say, hey, can I give you this perspective? Maybe this might help. They just give you materials to help you, or whatever you decide for yourself. They're going to tell you, maybe, okay, that's your decision. Have you looked at it from your wife's perspective, how she feels with certain things? And I'm just throwing it out. You know what I'm trying to say? Just so you can grasp and get an understanding how therapy works. It is not about throwing you a little bus. If you get one of those therapists that's like that and they co-sign it with the other spouse, that's bias right there. Just leave it alone. Go find somebody else. But I hope this information was helpful tonight. Before I do go, I do want to touch a little bit based on the monetary side, because that looks different from everybody. Some people want to leave businesses, some people want to leave certain material items, right? For their kids, because something material that you might have, this can be a face mask, this can be a painting, this can be a historic book that you may have. That's part of that monetary, because you know why? It's going to be priceless one day. The value there's a value to it, right? Because some things that, let's put it in perspective. Something that grandpa might have gave you in 1912. It could have been something that's a collectible item. It could be worth so much money today, but you said to yourself, I'm going to keep this in my family, and I want them to keep it for generations to come, because this is our keepsake. This is going to remind us who we are and where we came from. And that's important too. Oh my God, who are we? Where we come from? This will help the identity for our children and for our children to come. Because a lot of the times people go left and they're not sure about a lot of things because they don't know their identity. So I think I need to add that too. But it kind of compensate of everything that I touch on, because this is you magnitude things so they can understand who they are, and most importantly, who they belong to. And going back to Montana real quick, yes, stocks, bonds, and all of that stuff is amazing too. But I think one thing that's also amazing is creating a trust. Yes, I know. I'm going to save that for another episode where we can talk more about trust, wills, and things just to help you get ready, to put things in order into perspective, before your time comes. So the next generation will know what to do, and then they can carry the mantle. So everyone, I hope this was helpful. I thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I definitely want you to like and I want you to subscribe. And also, too, I want you to put into the comments if this was helpful. Share this with someone because I'm pretty sure someone needed to hear this today. And this will never go old. This conversation is always a need. But of course, we can have extensive conversations on other podcasts. So keep alert. That's why I say definitely subscribe because you will get the alert on the future shows that's coming up. So I thank you, and everyone have a great night. And I will see you next Tuesday here again at 6 p.m. Take care.
Lady K.